guys, Alan here with EatSleepTrade.net, and we're going to be going over the watch list for the week of January 12th, 2015. And coming up first on the list is going to be LTS. This one's been on the list for a while, as most of you know if you follow me. And right now we are still holding this above the 50-day. So as long as this thing continues to stay above the 50-day, then we're going to hold on to it and look for it to get its next leg up. The RSI is cooling off quite a bit, and the MACD has definitely crossed bearish. But we're going to go ahead and try to hold this thing above the 50-day. If it falls below it, it's easier just to cut profits and look to get back in when it begins its next run up. Next up on the list is COWN. And this one here, we called for a 2 to 3 day pullback and a recovery. We've gotten that now towards the end of the week and are going to be looking for some more positive volume coming in Monday and a push back up, and hopefully to break this 483 and continue our uptrend here. Next up, ATRS. Alright, so on this one here, we played the bounce off support here. Nice break. We were looking for a run to 283. Never quite made it. Started to have a pullback and got a nice recovery off the 200-day simple moving average here, and started to continue back up to that 283 range, and again weren't quite able to make it. So hopefully next week, coming into Monday, we'll be able to start strong and get the break on this 283. So still some opportunities here to find a position at a good price for the break above 283. One thing to notice is the RSI cooled off a little bit and now has room to make that next leg up, and we really want to get to this overbought area. So we'll watch that coming into next week, see if we can get the break on 283 and work our way up to the next area of resistance. Alright, next up on the list is DHT. Had a great call on DHT for the break above 744. It's up about, or closed up 19% with the high of days around 22%. So great call right there. In the last update, we were looking for another gap up and some strength, and I mentioned that it would be early on in the day, which it was, which first thing right out the gates, it was up 7-8% pretty quick. I also mentioned some shorts are going to be moving on this, and sure enough they did, and we're able to push it back down a little bit. So we'll see what happens coming into Monday. One thing to note is that the volume increased over the previous day, which is always a good sign that the volume is still there. The RSI is, of course, still way overbought, so going to be looking for a pullback on this one. So hopefully you guys took most of your profits here like I recommended on Friday. So we'll keep that one on into next week just to see what happens with it. Next up is IDRA, and we added this one to the watch list when this break occurred. Unfortunately, we didn't get to trade it because it didn't catch my eye until it actually made that break. But we've had a little bit of a pullback off that break and starting to recover now. Ended Friday with just kind of a neutral day. Probably some people that just wanted out for the weekend and don't like holding into a Monday, which is pretty common. Still, we had our cross of the 50-day over the 200-day, and going to be looking to continue this uptrend. As you can see, we found some support at the previous area of resistance that we broke. So we'll keep this one and watch it into next week. Next on the list is NVAX. So last time we were looking at NVAX, it was the break above 587 right here on this day. And as you can see, it was a false signal. We came back down and had a pullback and visited pretty much the exact same range that we were at previously to that break we were looking for. So right around here, about 562. Bounced off of that and got the break above that 587 range again. And I did alert that on the forums when this break happened on this day here. So if you got in, had a nice big explosion and a good pop on Friday. One thing to note is that the volume was good and strong on Friday. The MACD crossed over bullish over our signal line, and the RSI is not quite overbought yet. So this one definitely still has room to move on the top side, and going to keep this one on the list and hopefully continue this run up here. Next on the list will be ZIOP. All right, on the watch list for the week of 12/29, we called this engulfing candle right here and mentioned that it was going to be heading up to its next area of resistance at 544. And here was a leg up, slight pullback, and then a nice bounce. And we happened to run to the high of day at 545 before coming back a little bit. So definitely a key area of resistance that was previously marked out, and a good indicator to let everybody know that was a very good spot for this thing to stop moving up. On a positive note, the volume was picking up on Friday, which is great. The MACD is crossing back above the signal line and going bullish. And the RSI is just starting to reach that overbought range, which you need to do when you're putting in new highs. So this will be a test for a new 52-week high on ZIOP. So pretty major area of resistance right here. And if we can get the breakthrough that, and there's really no telling how high this stock will go. It'll just keep running as high as the people buying it are going to make it. So keep that on next week. This one's looking like it's heating up pretty good and can definitely see some big moves out of it. Next up is ARWR. And this one caught my eye down here as it started putting in some higher lows and forming a new uptrend. So you could see it there, particularly this high right here is what I was looking at, and you could see that Friday we broke that high and now have put in a new high. We're up in the overbought zone on the RSI, and the volume has been increasing for 3 days straight, but did not peak as high here, 11 million compared to 7 million. So there could still be some volume coming in on Monday and really pushing this thing up. So great one to watch here. I like it with the break above 858. And if we have any type of strength coming in on Monday, I'll definitely be looking for some buying opportunity for this one. Next on the list is ZGNX. All right, and on ZGNX, another one pretty similar to ARWR. We've got this pretty long channel that we've been trading under for quite some time, a couple times of trying to break out of it, and we're up back at the top of this channel again. But a couple things that are different this time compared to other times. And the first thing I want to note is the 200-day is now coming back down and getting closer to our actual price per share, and the 50-day hopefully we'll start bringing this thing up and come out of this channel as well. So we're looking for a break above 148. We have a overbought signal right here on the previous highs, the pullback, which is expected, and a recovery, and we're not quite overbought. So we're looking to get into that overbought range and get a breakout here and a push to this 200-day simple moving average. So keep your eye on this one. Set an alert for anything above that 148 and look for some opportunities there. All right, and last but not least, OBCI. Again, another one that has tons of room to move. Very volatile, as you can see. We just had a nice 3-day run and some consolidation, so we didn't automatically collapse back down like we did on this big run here. We came up, consolidated, and now are starting to push to new highs again. You can see volume is increasing day to day, just like it was on this nice run. We're going to be looking for another one of those, so hopefully 2 more days of positive volume, enough to push this RSI back up into the overbought zone and get a nice breakout above 510. So huge potential on OBCI, and we'll definitely be keeping a close watch on this one. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future videos. Also, check out my website, eatsleeptrade.net. From there, you can follow me on Twitter and check out the forums to stay up to date on all the stocks I'm watching and trading. And I want to apologize to you guys for the cold that I have, and thank you for bearing with me trying to get this thing put together. And we'll see you guys throughout the week in the chart updates. Thanks for watching.